StadiumDB.com presents Premier League Stadiums of the 2022-23 season. Hello there! The 2022-23 Premier League campaign is almost here. That's why we'd like to show you the stadium presentations of the upcoming season, in order from lowest to highest capacity. Before we get started, we would like to ask you to support our channel by hitting the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button so you get notifications every time we post new video. And now, without further ado, we'd like to take you on a journey across England's finest stadiums. 20th place, Vitality Stadium. Capacity 11,329. AFC Bournemouth. Stadium was built in 1910 on lands donated by the Cooper Dean family. To honor them, it was named Dean Court. Dean Court lost its form in 2001 due to complete revamp. The pitch was rotated by 90 degrees and slightly moved away from the nearby houses. 3 new stands were built, and the open space on the south side was later filled with a temporary stand. Record attendance was set in 1957, when 28,799 people watched AFC Bournemouth play Manchester United in the FA Cup. Currently, stands have an all-seater form, accommodating 11,700 fans, mostly covered by roof. 19th place, Brentford Community Stadium. Capacity 17,250. Brentford FC. The stadium opened in August 2020 and construction took less than 3.5 years. It will be the second smallest stadium in this Premier League season, with a capacity of only 17,250 seats. The shape of the stadium resembles a hexagon. It's because it was a real challenge to fit a venue on a triangular-shaped plot. Auditorium has single-tier stands. Their form is irregular but provides optimal visibility from anywhere around the stadium. 18th place, Craven Cottage. Capacity 21,000. Fulham. First ever game with admission fees was played here in 1896. This venue, located on the Thames riverside, underwent quite a few revamps throughout its history. Stadium was designed in the 20th century by the most famous British architect who specialized in sports facilities, Archibald Leach. Craven Cottage, with its red brick facade of the main stand, is among the most valuable monuments of stadium architecture. The venue has 3 single-tier stands covered by a roof supported by pillars growing from the auditorium and a newly erected 2-level riverside stand. The tall floodline masts tower above the whole structure. The name Craven Cottage comes from a residence which was located in the place of today's central circle of the pitch. 17th place, Selhurst Park. Capacity 25,486. Crystal Palace. From a bird's-eye view, you can clearly see the classic division into 4 independent stands, creating an asymmetrical stadium. Like most British grounds, it has undergone many renovations throughout its history. Last major changes took place in 1994, where Holmesdale Terrace was demolished and replaced with a 2-tier stand. At the same time, a new roof was installed on the main stand. Clubs' plan for the near future assumed the expansion of the stadium by over 8,000 seats. 16th place, City Ground. Capacity 30,445. Nottingham Forest. When Nottingham Forest moved several hundred yards away from their first stadium in 1898, the club was already 33 years old. The city received its charter just a year earlier. To celebrate that occasion, the venue has been called the City Ground from the very beginning. Major revamps came in the 1960s. First, in 1965, a new main stand was erected, But sadly, on August 24, 1968, a fire broke out during the Forest-Leeds United fixture. Thankfully, there were no casualties. In 1967, a new East Stand was erected, and the first game after the reopening of the venue had the highest attendance to date, with 49,1946 watching the Forest beat Manchester United. Other significant changes came with the new executive stand in 1980 and redevelopment in years 1992-93, when the ground was being prepared for Euro 96. 15th place. Amex Stadium. Capacity 31,800. Brighton and Hove, Albion. Construction of the stadium started in 2009 and was preceded by many disputes. Before it could happen, the Seagulls had to move to Gillingham, 75 kilometers away. Before the start of 2012-13 season, 5,000 seats were added, creating a second tier of the East Stand and closing corners of the South Stand. In early 2013, Brighton and Hove Albion added a further 3,000 seats to increase the capacity to 30,500. Since 2020, it's no longer possible to pay in cash at the stadium. 14th place. Molineux Stadium. Capacity 32,050. Wolverhampton. Name of the stadium comes from the Molineux family that was one of the first owners of the land on which it was built. In 1932, the venue obtained 4 stands that served Wanderers for the next half a century. The biggest changes happened in the 90s. From October 1991 to December 1993, all stands were completely reconstructed. In 2011, the revamp of the Stan Cullis stand was started as the first stage of the planned reconstruction. It was completed for the 2012-13 season, but further phases never came. For now, the club has put off plans to expand the stadium to 50,000, only introducing minor changes like safe standing. 13th place. King Power Stadium. Capacity 32,261. Leicester City. When the old ground became too cramped, a decision was made to relocate to a new one. Eventually, the Foxes moved out about 150 meters south of the original location. In November 2000, the plan to build a 32,000-seater was presented. The simple structure made of steel prefabs was completed in just 1 year. From 2013, the owner of the ground is King Power, which previously took over the club. For many fans, however, it will always be the Filbert Way, address-based nickname referring to the club's roots. Club's authorities are working on expanding the stadium to over 40,000 seats. To make this possible, they purchased land to the east of the facility where the expansion could take place. 12th place. St. Mary's Stadium. Capacity 32,384. Southampton. There were talks of the need to build a new facility in Southampton in the mid-80s. Before that happened, the club's former stadium, the Dell, was modernized. Only at the end of the 90s it turned out that there was a chance to move the club to a nearby plot located close to where the club was established. No wonder the stadium was named after St. Mary, because the club was originally founded next to a church dedicated to her. Construction work took over 1.5 years. The result is a single-tier ring for 32,689 spectators, which could be expanded up to 50,000 if necessary. 11th place. Elland Road. Capacity 37,890. Leeds United. The look of the ground is dominated by the East Stand, which is twice the size of each of the other 3. Remaining sections look quite old in relation to the east side. In the 1990-20 season, The club had financial problems and there were even serious plans to demolish the stadium and turn it into a brickyard. Currently, Leeds United is developing plans to expand the venue to increase capacity from 38,000 to 55,000. Plans are not yet specified but are likely to include expansion of the north and east stands. Once again, we encourage you to like the video and click subscribe and the notification buttons. This way you won't miss any of our next videos and you will help our channel to grow. 10th place, Goodison Park. Capacity 39,572. Everton. The decision to move to Goodison was made by Everton after failing to stay permanently at Anfield, where they played for 8 years. A major challenge came in the post-Hillsborough era as 3 parts of the ground had terracing and needed conversion. The first one simply had the seats installed, another one got its lower tier redeveloped, while the last one, the southern, was simply demolished and rebuilt as a single-tier end in 1994. Goodison Park hosted more top-flight matches than any other venue in England. Construction of the club's new facility for 52,888 fans at Bramley Moordock started in August 2021. The goal is to open the new ground for the 2024-25 season. After that, Goodison Park will be demolished. 9th place, Stamford Bridge. Capacity 40,450. Chelsea. The venue opened in 1877, but for the first few decades it was used for athletics competitions. It wasn't until 1905 that the owner of the ground formed Chelsea FC after Fulham refused to play at the stadium. In the decades that followed, the facility underwent many changes, one of which, in the 1970s, almost led to the club's collapse. A new East Stand was built after that, but its costs were growing at an alarming pace and not only was it not enough to finance remaining stands, but it put the club on the brink of bankruptcy. Only in 90s after the Taylor report, the athletics track was removed, adding new stands or tiers on each side. Time will tell what plans the club's new owners have for redeveloping or leaving the stadium. 8th place, Villa Park. Capacity 42,682. Aston Villa. It's been Aston Villa's home since 1897. The club bought it in 1911. Over the years, the facility has undergone as many as 10 redevelopments. The largest modernization works took place in the 90s, where the ground had to be reconstructed after the Hillsborough tragedy. In 1992-94, a new North Stand was created, and the largest, a 3-tier one, West Stand was opened in 2001. It's the only stadium in England that has hosted international matches in 3 different centuries. The first game of the England national team was held here in 1899 and the last one in 2005. 7th place, St James's Park. Capacity 52,305. Newcastle United. The oldest existing stadium in the northeast of England and one of the most iconic football venues in the world. Newcastle United has been host here since 1892. The ground owes its unusual shape to local spatial constraints. In the 90s, it proved impossible to build a new stadium 200 meters away, so the club decided to rebuild it. Another tier was added above 2 existing stands, making this part of the stadium much grander than the other ones, where there was no room for expansion. As a result, the largest externally supported roof in Europe was created. 6th place, Etihad Stadium. Capacity 53,400. Manchester City. The facility was built to host the 2002 Commonwealth Games. New stands were created right after that competition. Instead of a temporary stand behind one of the goals, a permanent structure was built, identical to the one on the other side of the playing field. Athletics track was removed and the playing field lowered. In 2014-2015, the stadium underwent the first expansion since it was taken over by the citizens. A third tier was added to the south stand with over 6,000 seats. In March 2021, Manchester City announced the removal of approximately 1,100 seats from the first 3 rows of the north, east and south stands. Seats were replaced by digital display panels. The club has a long-term plan to expand the north stand so that the total capacity of the ground could reach 60,000. 5th place, Anfield. Capacity 54,362. Liverpool. Liverpool moved to Anfield in 1892. Story of the Kop, one of the most famous stands in the world, began in 1928. That year it got expanded to 30,000 standing places, where die-hard fans had been gathering over the years. Significant changes took place at the stadium in late 90s, with remodeling of the stands and conversion to all-seated layout taking place. In 2014-2016, the facility underwent its largest partial reconstruction to date. The western main stand was expanded from 1 to 3 tiers. Upgrade to the north stand on the Anfield Road side is currently underway, which will increase the capacity by 7,000 for the 2023-24 season. 4th place, London Stadium. Capacity 60,000. West Ham. The venue was built for the London Olympics in 2012. In order to meet the needs of West Ham, in 2014 its reconstruction started. As a part of it, a new roof was created, the largest of its kind in the world, as well as new demountable lower stands. All this was done so that the football season and summer athletics competitions could be held without scheduling conflicts. In August 2016, the Hammers debuted at the stadium. From 2020, only cashless transactions can be made at the facility. 2 years ago, the ground received new LED lighting system. Reconfiguration of the stands behind goals was also completed. This summer, same as last year, London Stadium will not be converted into an athletics venue as UK only hosts one Diamond League meeting. It was held in May in Birmingham. 3rd place, Emirates Stadium. Capacity 60,260. Arsenal. When opened in 2006, it was the 2nd largest football ground in the Premier League and the 3rd largest in England. Its construction was completed in just over 2 years. It was originally called Ashburton Grove after the name of the street it was built on. The major airline owns naming rights to the venue until 2028. The whole auditorium was divided into 4 tiers. The middle 2, with the smallest capacity, are intended to serve business clients. The Arsenal Stadium is one of the best venues in the world in terms of generating match day profits. It is also environmentally friendly. Batteries capable of storing 3 megawatts were installed in the basement of the facility. They provide enough energy to power Emirates Stadium for 2 hours during a match. 2nd place, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Capacity 62,850. Tottenham. Inaugurated just over 3 years ago, Tottenham's new home is one of the most modern facilities in the world. It's been built in 4 years and now it's the 2nd largest ground in the Premier League. Among many design solutions, it's worth mentioning retractable pitch, which can be folded and hidden under the south stand for non-football events. The south stand is the 2nd largest single tier 1 in the UK, with 17,500 seats, though it's not perfectly single. Tottenham plans to build skyscrapers around the stadium, with nearly 1,000 apartments. This is expected to improve the club's financial situation in the long run. First place, Old Trafford. Capacity 74,140. Manchester United. It's known as the Theatre of Dreams. The term was coined by Sir Bobby Charlton. It is currently the largest stadium in the Premier League. In England, only Wembley has greater capacity than Old Trafford. Steep angle at which the roof is tilted towards the pitch is one of the most recognizable features of this ground. The last major expansion took place between 2005 and 6 when two brand new facilities were fitted under the northern corners of the stands. Since 2005, £100 million has been invested in the stadium. It's long been planned to expand the capacity beyond 80,000 if the southern part of the stadium is successfully expanded. Last season, safe standing finally arrived at the stadium. The first such section appeared in the northeast corner. It was the last stadium in our overview of the Premier League venues for the 2022-23 season. Have you been to any of these marvels? Which ones? Don't forget to let us know in the comments section which stadium is your favorite. See you in future videos.